this video, I want to help you to decide which Spanish dialect you should start learning according to what works better for you. Hello world, it's Via and welcome back to my channel. If you're thinking about learning Spanish or you're already learning this beautiful language, you probably already know there are tons of different dialects inside Spanish. As always, I will divide this video into chapters, so if you want to know the tips right away, feel free to skip to that part and let's begin. Like the majority of Spanish students, I started learning European Spanish because it was conventionally easy for me to find resources, and it was also the most obvious way to get started in this language. At the beginning of my journey, I got a dictionary and a grammar book focused on European Spanish, and I also watched lessons on YouTube with a teacher who taught European Spanish. So basically, everything around me was screaming Spanish from Spain. And also, I believe that when you're a foreigner, it seems to be the default option to learn Spanish from Spain and focus on it since the beginning. After reaching a certain fluency in Spanish, I started playing online games on Hispanic servers. And by doing that, I ended up with a bunch of friends from Latin America. And by getting in contact with these people, I realized that the dialect that I was focusing on so much didn't really flourish roots on me, you know? At the moment, I wasn't really getting a connection with European Spanish, and I was no longer getting culturally exposed to Spanish content. Whenever I talk to my friends from Chile, Peru, Argentina, Mexico, they always ask me why I was learning Spanish from Spain. And after getting that question so many times, I started to realize that I didn't really know. At first, I answered them with classic replies like, "Oh, I'm interested in the culture," or "I plan to visit Spain someday." But after a while of thinking about that, I came to the realization that I actually wanted to visit South America countries before Spain, and that I knew more and was more interested in Peru's political situation or Argentina's lifestyle than actually Spain's culture. After being exposed to different dialects, I noticed that learning how to speak a language correctly and learning about the culture are equally important things. So I took a time to rethink about my goals, reevaluate my expectations and passion, to decide what dialect actually made more sense to me in my life and what aligns better to my expectations and goals in general. When I reflected on the geographic position I was, on my own culture, on my family's heritage, and the friends I have made, I realized that my heart and my passion were no longer matching with European Spanish. Because whenever I would play with my friends online, I would start using Argentinian expression and slang, and I would change the way I speak words like yo, llamar, llorar, to show, chamar, chorar right away. Like, I talk to my Argentinian friends, I talk like that. So without even realizing it, I was already acquiring their accent and way of speaking. Another thing that made me change officially the dialect I was learning was to think about my family's heritage. A small part of my family is from Argentina, and I started to see that as an opportunity to get closer with them and also to get to know more about their country and their culture, of course. Well, as you guys could see, a lot of reflection was made to come to this conclusion. And to be honest, I feel that if I kept repeating to myself that I was learning European Spanish, one side of my brain would just leave me, seriously. Because even my friend gave me a short book to learn Argentinian expressions. So let's say that I was pretty much blind. Anyway, with this context, I believe that I have pretty much experience to tell you and help you on finding your Spanish dialect. So let's go to tip number 1. When learning a new language, it's good to think about the reasons that took you to learn it. If you plan to study, work, or live in a Spanish-speaking country, and without thinking twice, I do recommend you to learn this country's way of speaking. In case you live in a region with a number of Spanish-speaking immigrants, it might be a good idea to learn their dialect. So this way you can get involved in the local community and also make new friends. Plus, if you have a family or a friend who lives in a Spanish-speaking country, then that could be another reason for you to think about learning that particular Spanish. The truth is, you don't need a rational reason to learn a specific dialect. Perhaps you're dating someone from Cuba and you want to be able to communicate with them. Or maybe your favorite singer is from Spain. Or I don't know, you simply fell in love with a TV show from Mexico. If any of these reasons apply to you, then you should know that they are enough to make you decide what accent, what dialect you should learn. I truly believe that when it comes to learning a new language, understanding what your heart wants and what makes you happy are the most important things to make you motivated. So if there is a country that simply fascinates your heart with its culture, or pushes the curiosity inside of you for the sake of it, then go for it. That's it. If you haven't found your passion in any dialect, then I recommend you to explore different music styles, watch different movies, and also make friends from different countries. I met some people who thought Peruvian Spanish was more convenient for them. I also met people who thought that European Spanish was easier for them to pronounce it. This tip's pretty straightforward, but anyway. Choose a dialect that it's easier for you to pronounce or that is phonetically closer to your native language or another language that you already know. If you haven't connected with any country in specific, then choosing the version of Spanish that you want to learn because it's easier for you to pronounce is a worth shot. If a side of your family comes from a Spanish-speaking country, then you might be interested in picking this country's dialect as your target accent, so you can learn more about your family's culture and the traditions and way of speaking from this country. Besides that, I think your Mexican grandma would be very proud of you for not speaking vosotros in front of her. I'm just saying, okay? Just saying. However, if you don't have anyone in your family whose first language is Spanish, you can always lay down in global history or your country's history and perhaps get intrigued by a Hispanic country and then study how this country is doing nowadays and how they live there. In case you're the type of person who likes lesser popular languages or dialects, then learning Spanish from Guatemala, Uruguay, Bolivia, Paraguay would be a good shot for you. It's also good to highlight that learning these dialects is as honorable and as important as learning Spanish from Spain, Mexico, or Colombia. Although there are fewer speakers, you would be surprised at the number of expressions, YouTubers, songs, TV shows that you could discover just by learning these dialects. Choose this path if you want to have fun and also impress people with your alternative choice. Well guys, that's it. If you enjoyed this content, please let me know in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and, well, that's it. See you in the next video. Bye!